This recording is about how to find and navigate through your online textbooks for science and social studies. So there are several different ways to find them. The easiest way is probably to go to Google Classroom and click on Dr. Roberts' Virtual Classroom at the top. It will open up the Google slide, which is my virtual classroom. You will then click on it. It will open depending on your internet speed. It may load quicker or slower. And then once you're here, there are several different ways to get to the textbooks. You could either click on Science and go to that page, and the science textbook is here. You can click on Social Studies, go to the Social Studies page, and the Social Studies book is here. Or you can click on Class Library, and you will see the science book on the bookshelf to the left that's green, and the Social Studies book is the blue one to the right. These are the two textbooks that you will use, not the ones that were given to you the night of orientation. So when you click on the science book, it's going to open a new tab, and it's going to say something about the file being too large to preview. So then you click download, and it's probably going to say something about it couldn't scan for viruses. That's okay. You need to download it anyway. I promise there are no viruses. So when you click download anyway, your book is going to start downloading. And you're going to have to wait a little while because it's a pretty large download. It's 148 megabytes. And as you can see, mine is just now at 24.7. Now I'm at 30. So it's going to take a little while to get to 148. So while we're waiting on the science book to download, I'm going to go back to Google Classroom, to the library, and let's click on Social Studies because it's actually going to open up a page on my website. When you get there, you'll notice this one's a little different than science. I have it divided up into units, and you can see under the unit by chapter. So if you scroll down, for the rest of the year, you're going to be able to see everything else that we're going to be talking about. And again, depending on your internet connection, it may take a little while to load. But everything is there, and you'll need to make sure that you're in the right part of the textbook to get the information that you need. All right, so while we're with social studies, I can see that my science is downloaded, but let's stay with social studies for now, and then we'll do science in a minute. So when you put your cursor on the textbook, you will see this little pop-out thing that comes up. When you click on it, it's going to open a new tab, and it's going to open up those chapters. Now from this point, you can either scroll through and try to get to those page numbers, and it's just going to take you a little while. Or you can download it and then you can navigate through the book. So right now it's just shared with you through a Google file. But if you download it, you're going to notice now I have another file downloading. So while we're waiting on it, which it shouldn't take it that long, and it's available. So I'm going to click on that download, and it's going to open up. Now it looks very similar to what you just saw in this screen, except when you download it, you have a little tab here. And this little tab makes life easier for you. So you can click on the little down arrow, and it will take you exactly where you want to be. So for instance, Unit 1, Chapter 1, and Section 2 is what you did yesterday. So I can go exactly to where I want to go by using this little tab. And I don't have to do all that scrolling through. So when we get to Chapter 2, it's the same thing. It'll take you right where you want to be and you're not wasting time. So once you get to the social studies book, and I'll just use Section 2 as an example because that was yesterday's lesson. To get out of that, you just click anywhere else on the page. You'll notice it gives you your key terms, your vocabulary words, which, by the way, those are highlighted and bolded. Those are the words that you're using for your vocabulary activity at the beginning of the chapter. So it makes life a whole lot easier for you if you would use this to your advantage. But at the top it says Section 2, so we're in Chapter 1, Section 2. That's where I get Quiz 1.2 from. Chapter 1, Section 2. So all of your information that you're going to need for that quiz is going to be in this section. You'll notice even some of the graphics are in my recording for the day that I make to teach the lesson. So you can see this is the end of Section 2, and then this opens up something else. So each section is designed that way in your social studies book. All right, since my science book has downloaded, let's go back to it. I'm going to open it up. And remember, it's a larger file, so it takes a little bit longer. It works the same way as the social studies book once it's downloaded. You have a little tab that you can click on, and then you can go anywhere you want to go in that book. So since we're in Chapter 1 right now, let's do that. So Chapter 1, Section 1. So that's where I get directed reading 1.1 from, and 1.2, and 1.3, and so on and so forth. So 1.3 is the last section that you did. And you did that, or the last lesson. You did that yesterday. So I'm going to click on that lesson. Notice it's just like social studies. It opens up, takes you right to it. Click off of it, anywhere on the page. And now you are in Chapter 1, Lesson 3. It was on scientific models. So as you're doing your directed readings, you'll notice they have topics that divide them up. If you've not noticed that on your directed readings, please take a minute and look at that. It's divided that way because all of your information is going to be in order in your textbook. So when you go to look up an answer to a directed reading question, you only have to go to that section to get that answer. So see, all the blues are sections, and then the reds are the big sections. So as you're looking at your directed reading, if you've got a question that's under the section of scientific laws, then you only need to look in this area to find that answer. So while I have you, let's go ahead and let's take a look at directed reading 1.3. Bring this back over to my textbook. So this is the directed reading that you did yesterday. See, here are the topics that I was showing you in your book. So let's go back to a question. Sorry about that. Let's just start at the top. All right, so scientific models, types of scientific models. So you'll notice the next section is physical models. See physical models? Okay, so these first two questions you should find before you ever get to that. So in this information. So it says, what is a representation of an object or system called? A representation of an object or system. Look at this very first sentence. A model is a representation of an object or system. So what is a representation of an object or system called? Yes, model. So in your Science EN, where this directed reading is, you use your text box to draw a box around that answer, and then these are the answers that you're using to put in for your quizzes for that day. And I'm going to do a separate recording showing you how to do that as well. As always, if you have any questions, I am here. Please ask.